Good, y'all? It is your boy, Jonathan Dumas, and this is Highly Visible and a Little Misunderstood, show where we talk to the people we see every day because we don't know what we miss until we miss them. And, yeah, y'all, today is the day after the election. Kamala lost. I don't have any pleasantries for y'all. I don't have any real smiles for y'all. Like, this is off the cuff. I usually try and write a script so I'm not rambly, but that's what this is going to be. I've been thinking about all day, last couple days, like what this intro was going to be, how I'd record it. Parts of me were like, want to come on here ranting and rail against how bullshit this election results are. Hit facts, regurgitate all the things that me and Gustavo talked about in the last episode, about all the things that I know. Just talk a whole bunch of shit, which I think maybe I'll do that. There's other people that will do that. Parts of me also feel like I wanted to come on here and share like some level of hope or share some hope with you all, but I ain't got that in me either. I will get there, but right now it's like not there at all. I felt kind of just like numb today, but also a mix of like frustration, anger, sadness, not fear, but just like apprehension, dread, a mix of a lot of different feelings. But I think I landed on this thing, and I just want to just share a thought because we talk about it a little bit in this conversation with my friend Isaiah Young, who is a practical theologian. And we're continuing our series on performing authenticity here. But in this conversation, we recorded on Monday, and I was going to post it a couple days from now, or a couple weeks from now. But after listening to it and then considering the election, I was like, yo, this actually is a good one for this week, because the conversation actually goes into us. What does it mean to be us? What does it mean to be us and find ourselves within community? What does community look like? What do we do when institutions fail us? How do we view institutions through the lens of becoming like ourselves, particularly faith institutions, religious institutions? We talk a little bit about governmental institutions and systems. So I thought this was a good conversation to drop this week because my friend Isaiah has a really good way of like grounding the conversation, especially when things feel so esoteric or lofty or big or grand or too big. And so I think our conversation is wonderful to do that. But to go back a little bit of what I really want this intro to be, in his first book, and he shares this in the conversation, it is based on cosmotheandrism. And it's a really great book. After he broke it down this time, I was like, okay, I got to give it another shot to read it. But cosmotheandrism, and I do a little breakout session to go into this a little bit more in the episode, but cosmotheandrism is the idea that the cosmos, the divine, and humanity are all deeply connected, like three parts of the same reality. And it's more of like a theological, philosophical term, but like I believe that. And the reason why I'm bringing that up in light of the election is because, I think we hear a lot about use your vote or cast your vote, or like your vote is your voice. And then even me, being black and having my ancestors like not having the ability to vote, not having a say in how they live their lives, and even sometimes having to pay to vote, having to take an IQ test to vote, having to do all kinds of things to like fight for the right to vote, which in this country is a God-given right. Like we say that it's a right. And I think as I've gotten older, I've respected and honored that a lot more. And also as I've grown and changed and like thought about what community looks like, what does it mean to like really care for my community? And when I'm talking about community, I'm not just talking about my neighborhood, my neighbors. I'm not just talking about, people down the street. I'm not even just talking about other black folks. even though that is like a higher priority for me, if I'm being honest. But I think about my community as in like what my actions, or who will my actions impact. And when I think about my vote in light of that, like the weight of it feels so much more, right? Like I can no longer, although I may have a particular stance, like I ask the question, I see through the lens of like, what is my vote? How does my vote impact other people? And to me, that makes it even more sacred, right? That I like use my voice to fight for those who don't have one, or are being silenced, or need greater access, whatever it is, right? And I don't know if that's because of the way I grew up or my values or what, but I truly believe that there is something there around like when we look beyond ourselves of the greater impact that we can have. And I think that that is the most disheartening thing, the most sad thing, the most dejecting thing about the results of this election, particularly the exit polls coming out of this election, is that like there were swaths of people that like chose to vote with their wallets, chose to vote for their own individual interests, rather than how this man and what the Republican Party is going to do to so many other people. And they make those decisions, and they will make excuses as to why they're making those decisions. But at the end of the day, they make those decisions selfishly. I truly believe that. Like you could say it's a value system. You can say it's, about a single issue. You could say this person's better at the economy. You could say all kinds of things. But I think at the end of the day, there is nothing that he can't do, or nothing that you won't tolerate, because he represents so much of what you want, what you feel is necessary. And the I'm talking about is white people, if I want to just be really explicit. The exit polls were very explicit about who overwhelmingly voted for him. And they told us for weeks, months, that it was black men that weren't going to show up for Kamala. And we did. And now those are pretty early still. But based off of what they're showing us is like white women were lying this whole time. That when it really came down to it. They protected reproductive rights, but they didn't protect anybody else's rights, which is white feminism in a nutshell. It's tough, y'all. And I think what we're going to see in the next 2 years, I'll say the next 2 years because Democrats or whatever could happen in 2026, the House could flip or something could happen. I don't know. I don't know what could happen. But I'll for sure say the next 2 years are going to be fucking hell for immigrants, LGBTQ plus folks, black people, women, poor people, everything. And if you think those tariffs are going to work, y'all weren't paying attention in economics in high school, or your political science or your government class in high school. Like I said, I don't have hope for you today, but I don't have any good news for you today. I don't have anything like that today. Maybe next week, maybe in a couple weeks. But what I do know is, I will hope, because what else am I going to do? I will resist, because what else am I going to do? I will fight, because what else am I going to do? I can't do anything else, because this just can't be the reality and the way that we go forward. Like it just can't. So, as many of our elders taught in the civil rights movement, as many of our current elders teach us in the fight for justice, is that, when we fight, we also need to rest. We also need to organize. We also need to strategize. And it is okay to be tired. It is okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be hopeless in these moments, because we're human. And this was a fucking gut punch to everything we thought was possible, everything we thought was going to happen. And so feel all the things you're going to feel, because we will, I don't know. said I wasn't gonna bring hope. I don't know. I don't know. I just love y'all. I want you to be well. I want you to know that you're cherished. I want you to know that I believe in you, that I see you, that like in ways that it is possible for me. Like I want to stand with you. I want to stand in front of you to support you, protect you, any way I can be. So I don't know, y'all. That is it. That's all I got. Please stay tuned for this conversation with Isaiah. It really is a beautiful conversation, and I think that there's some hope in there before we got our hopes dashed. You feel me? Take care of yourselves. Do something you love. Touch grass. Be with your loved ones. Remind folks that you haven't talked to in a while that you love them. Check in with peoples. See how they're doing. All right, y'all. Let's get to